Hello, this is going to be a review of the Yushin 3x3 DIY cube. Now you may have seen my unboxing video for this, and in the unboxing video I made a big deal out of how awesome this cube is, but now that I've had it for a while I decided to make a review so that I could tell you guys actually how good the cube is. Okay, so the first thing about the cube that is a big problem is that the center caps pop off. This one popped off about a week ago and it fell somewhere and I still can't find it. Eventually I'll find it though, hopefully. But the center caps do pop off very easily, especially when you're trying to pop out pieces like that. It'll push against the center cap and that thing will pop right off. Also, the center caps don't stay in very well. So with that being said, I had to find a solution to fix the center caps popping off problem, and I did find a solution, and this works for all cubes, not just this brand. If you have a Rubik's, a DIY like a Type C cube, those caps come off really easily. So this is how to fix it. Take the center cap and put a little piece of tape on it like I did here, and what you want to do is you want to fold it to where it touches this part, the outside of the little lining, just like that, and then wedge that part in between and then shut the cap on it. And what that does is the reason the caps come off in the first place is because there's not enough tension to hold them in place, so they're just kind of sliding around and then they just pop off. What that does is it puts a lot of tension on it and it forces it to stay in there. And I've done that with all 6 on this one, and after doing that the center caps have yet to come off. So that is a way to fix the center cap popping problem, but I mean it would be better just to not have it pop at all. Anyway, so I have 2 of them here, and what I did with the first one I got, which is this one, this is the newer one, the one without the center cap here. What I did with the first one is I tried adjusting the spring tension, and what happened was the core that they give you is a really bad quality core, and what happens is it doesn't fit the molding of the screw. So as soon as you loosen it just a slightest bit, the screw just pops right off. Like, the core is not designed to be adjusted. It's designed to kind of just be there, I guess. If you try to loosen the screw at all, the screw comes off of the core and then the entire centerpiece pops off. So basically, if you're going to get one of these, I would recommend replacing the core or don't adjust the screw tension. Now, the only good thing about that is that the screw tension on this cube is near perfect. If you were to take the perfect DIY tension, where it's just loose enough to keep it from popping, while giving you maximum amount of like cutting ability, you know, so being able to have it as loose as possible without it popping, if that's the ideal tension for a DIY, this cube is just like that, a little bit tighter. So this does have a slightly tighter feel to the cube. It doesn't have as much resistance, but the screw tension is near perfect right out of the box. Also, you don't have to do anything. The pieces will never pop, even though they do move and have a lot of give. They will never pop as long as you don't adjust the screw tension from the factory settings. So that's really nice. However, if you do want your cube looser or it comes too tight for whatever reason, really the only way to loosen the screws is to get a new core, which is what I did for this one. I put a old DIY Type C core that I had. Here, let me just show you the difference between the 2 cores. So this is the whitish one and this is the tan one. And the whitish one is to really it's pretty much made out of plastic. It's not made out of that squishy material that allows the core to hold the screw very well. It's basically just made out of this really cheap plastic, the same plastic the pieces are made out of, and it just doesn't hold in the screw very well. But, I mean, as long as you don't adjust the screw tension, it's fine. The Yushin DIY responds very nicely to silicone, as I've said before. It responds slightly better than the Cube4U brand. So if you have the new Cube4U Speed Cube, It responds a little bit better to silicone than this one, although I haven't siliconed this one in a while, so that may be a factor. But overall, I found that my new Type A still responds better than the Yushin Cube. So this one does work nicely as a speed cube, but there are better speed cubes out there. Probably the best thing about this puzzle is the screws and maybe the springs, but mostly just the screws. The way that the screws work is the screw length is measured out to be the perfect length for a screw. So the whole point of it is to where if you screw the screw all the way in, now this is on the factory settings. If you change the core, you'll have to adjust it. But on the factory settings, the screw is designed to where if you screw it all the way in, right to where it stops. So at the tightest point, that will give you the maximum amount of resistance while guaranteeing that the cube never pops. So the screws in this puzzle are actually very, very nice. They're probably the best screws I've ever seen in a cube. But again, because of the core being so bad, it kind of ruins the screw, and you end up having to switch the core out and then just using the screws like normal screws. Now the springs are really loose. They're not high tension springs, so I mean it gives you a little bit of flexibility, I guess, but maybe not as much as a high tension spring. Some people like high tension springs, but some people don't. Some people think the softer spring gives it more flexibility. I'm not really sure, but the one thing I noticed is that the screws themselves are really, really nice screws. They're probably the best screws I've ever seen in a puzzle. So if you want to like take the screws from this cube and put it in another cube, that'd be a good idea. But if you're going to do that, you're also going to have to use the centerpiece, because the screw is a very unusual size. It's very, very thick, and it's only designed for this exact centerpiece. So if you try to put it in any other type of centerpiece, more than likely the screw is not going to fit because the screw is so big. I would show you the screws, but I don't want to risk my puzzles coming apart like this one did already. It already came apart once, and as I told you before, because I loosened it and the whole thing just popped apart. So I really don't want to risk showing you guys on this cube, because I don't have a replacement core, and I've already spent a lot of time getting the perfect tension on this one, and I don't want to take it apart. So sorry about that. I'm not going to be able to show you guys the screws, but just take my word for it. They're really nice screws. However, they're very big and unusual, so putting them in another cube is not necessarily a good idea. But anyway, so the next thing to talk about on this cube is the stickers. Now, they're not actually stickers. They're tiles. They're very, very, very thin tiles. They're the equivalent of a CubeSmith tile, but they're about half as thick, or sorry, thin, half as thin, and they chip rather easily. As you see, I don't have a lot of big chips. That yellow, or sorry, that orange right there has a chip. That green right there has a chip on it. The tiles do chip very easily if they're like not aligned like right in the center, like if they're close to the edge and like you can chip it away with your finger. But for the most part, the tiles are very nice. They're probably the best tiles I've ever had. They're smooth tiles like the CubeSmith ones, but they're extremely smooth. Like the CubeSmith smooth tiles, sometimes they're a little bit slippery, but these are so smooth that they're never slippery ever. It pretty much feels like a sticker, even though it is a tile. So the fact that this thing has amazing tiles on it is a really big plus for this puzzle. However, the only bad thing is, again, they chip faster than the CubeSmith tiles. However, they don't chip that often, as long as you don't rough up the puzzle too much. Another thing to mention about the tiles, because of the fact that they're so thin and they chip very easily, if you try to remove them, they will break apart. So don't ever try to like take off the tiles if you plan reusing them. If you just don't care about destroying the tile altogether, then go ahead. But if you're trying to take the tiles off of this puzzle and put them on another puzzle, it's not going to work. What's going to end up happening is halfway through taking off the tile, it's just going to tear in half or chip on like every single side or whatever. So pretty much, if you're gonna try to take off the tiles, be prepared to ruin them. And another bad thing about this is that the color scheme is very odd. The blue is an extremely dark blue. It's not even blue, it's navy, to be honest. And the green is a very, very nasty color green. I don't like the green color. It's a very dark foresty green, and it's just not a nice shade of green. So the blue and the green side are not the best colors. The orange is also a very, very pale, darkish pale orange. It's not a very nice color. So the stickers themselves, the color, sorry, the tiles, the color of the tiles is very nasty. It's just not a good looking color scheme. If you look at it, you're like, ugh, that's really nasty. So it kind of takes away the fact that the actual tiles are so awesome. That's about it for the review. If you have any more questions, feel free to post a comment below. I'll be glad to answer any questions that you guys might have. And if you want to know where you can purchase this puzzle and things of that nature, go to the unboxing video I have for this on my channel, and I say all the information on this puzzle in that video. So I hope you liked the video. If you want to see more like this, please go to my channel. I have a lot of cubing videos, so I'm sure you'll find something that you like. If you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel. And thank you for watching, guys. Appreciate it. See you next time.